Hello again, nice to see you. I'm just tasting the American IPA. It's a cracking pint. It's 2 weeks in the bottle, it was 10 days in the fermenter, and it's turned out an absolute dream. Oh, that's nice. Really hoppy. You've got to like bitter beers to like this. It's actually from a local high street shop in the UK called The Range. They sell things like furniture and pots and pans, that sort of thing. And a while back they brought out their own range of homebrew equipment and kits. So I bought the American IPA, and I've also bought an Irish Stout, which I'll be making probably in a month or so it'll be ready for autumn. For me it's more of an autumnal drink. But they're only £14.99. I mean, that's a cracking price really, because it actually comes with hops. So you dry hop this in the fermenter with the sachet of hops it comes with. And for the American IPA, you got a sachet of 50 grams of Chinook hops, I think it is. It certainly tastes like Chinook because you've got a really sharp grapefruit flavour. Which just heightens that level of bitterness. But £14.99 for 40 bottles, that's good value. You do need another kilogram of fermentables, but as it's so hoppy, I mean, just get a bag of table sugar, just normal cane sugar, and use that. Now I know some people don't like using it, some people say it gives it a twangy flavour, but with the level of hops, you're not going to notice. Hops are great at just hiding flavours. That's why I only had to give it 10 days in the fermenter, because I knew if there was any imperfections, the hops would just smother them and you won't be able to tell. So £14.99, 50p for a bag of sugar. In fact, you've probably already got the sugar in your larder or your cupboard. You're looking at less than 40p a pint. And you know what? I would pay £1.50, £2 easily for a bottle of this quality in the supermarket. In the pubs up here in the north, of course, it's different prices down south, but in the north I would pay probably £3.50, £4. It's that good. And you're making it for 38, 39p. It's a no-brainer really, isn't it? And it is commercial quality. If I bought that in a supermarket, a bottle, and brought it home and drank it, I wouldn't be sorry. It is a commercial quality beer, so happy days. Right, I've got a surprise. Or something to show you, not really a surprise. Look at that. That's a beer, believe it or not. It's what's called a starter. And you make them just to give or help your beer, the yeast, to get going before you put the yeast into the beer. And this is wild yeast. I harvested it from my garden just a few days ago, and it's started to ferment, it's frothing up, and it's doing really well. But I'm not going to drink it. I'm not going to put this into a beer. This was just an experiment. Basically it's 300 mils of water, boiling water, with 30 grams of light dry malt. You mix it together, let it cool down to room temperature. Obviously sterilised or sanitised jar. And with this, I just cut some bark off a conifer that I have in the garden, and I just put the bark inside the wort, and a day or two later it was fermenting. The smell is very interesting. It smells like banana, believe it or not, which actually I've heard is not uncommon with these wild yeasts. Many of them do give off like a banana flavour or aroma. It's obviously woody because I've had some bark in there. I've taken it out now, but it was in there. And there's a bit of a funky something else going on, which again is not uncommon for wild yeasts. But because I did use bark, and it was literally just cut from a tree and put in here, it wasn't sanitised or anything. Well, you don't want it sanitised because you want the yeast. I won't be using this. This was just an experiment. So what I'm actually going to do is a different method, where you make the wort exactly the same. So I'm going to be using 300 mils of water, 30 grams of dry malt extract, and then basically just put a hop sock on the top, or you could put some cheesecloth, something like that, to stop any insects or anything getting in. Fasten it with a elastic band, and then you just put this in your garden, somewhere bushy, somewhere with a lot of foliage, preferably near a fruit tree if you've got one. Just put this in your garden and leave it there overnight or for a day, and then you bring it inside, you put the lid back on, unscrew it half away just to let any CO2 out, and then you just let it ferment. So that's what I'm going to do next, because I don't really want to touch this. There's bits of bark floating in it, and I don't know if there was any bacteria on the bark or anything like that. Also, I didn't change the pH. I'm going to look at ways that I can make it a little bit more acidic before I put it outside. That will repel bacteria. So I'm just isolating yeast. That's all I want in here. So that's going to be the next project. But this, certainly I would say, is a success as a trial run. It shows that there are yeasts in my garden and I can collect them. It's just, I'm not too sure of the safety of this because I was using a piece of bark. I don't know what could have been on that bark. Bugs could have been crawling around it just a few minutes before, leaving all sorts of bacteria and stuff. So this is going down the sink, but it's proved its point, and I'm going to try it again in a more sanitary way, and maybe use it in a beer. Make something like a quick, say, 5 litres of a Belgian ale, and then use the harvested yeast and see if it ferments and how it tastes. And I think harvested yeast with those banana flavours and a little bit of funkiness, it would suit a Belgian ale style. So that's my plan. I'll be doing that soon. I've got another brew on. In fact, I'm using that Cooper's fermenter for the first time, and I love the fact that you can see inside, because I'm using Kvite yeast, and it's just incredible to watch and how quick things happen. I started it at, I think it was about 8 o'clock I pitched the yeast. That's Sunday night. I woke up on Monday morning and there's already a krausen line, and the krausen had dropped. There was just a thin line of foam on the surface of the beer in less than 12 hours. It's amazing. It's usually like 2 days, 3 days for that to happen. I've been able to keep the temperature right from the start at 35 degrees C. I think that's in the 90s Fahrenheit. I've got a brew belt, I've got the beer mat, and it works a treat. It just holds it there at 35 degrees. Whereas before, if you remember, I had trouble with the temperature at the start. It went into the high 20s and I had to build it back up. So I think with that constant 35 degrees, it's really given it a boost, and I think it'll be finished tomorrow morning, and I'll be bottling 2.5 days after pitching the yeast. It's incredible. It's only a cheap Cooper's lager, the standard lager. So again, it was just an experiment. This was using the yeast I'd harvested from the Aussie bitter. So I just scooped some out, and I'm using that yeast again. So maybe that's helped give it a kickstart as well, because it's already got a nice healthy colony, rather than when you pitch dry or in this liquid sludge form that I had. It's got to do that work just to build up a colony. The colony's already there, I just pitch it in. So maybe that helped to give it a boost as well. So lots going on. Anyway, I'm going to finish this, and on Sunday I think we're eating bresaola, because it's come down now to about, I think it was 720 grams. Oh, less than that, 714 grams. So it's only got 14 more grams to lose. It's Tuesday today, so I'm definitely sure we're going to be eating bresaola at the weekend, and also a duck breast. I've cured and dried a duck breast, and I'll be trying that as well. And I'll be tasting the Cooper's Kvike lager. So that's all coming on Sunday. But for now, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again in the next video.